That almost makes sense. Oh, my goodness. What an ordeal. How are you this morning? It is Tuesday, August 28th, 2017. I'm back in the car after quite a while away from being in the car for the city of New York. I was away on vacation where there is no car moving because there's places to park in New Hampshire. Yeah, that was a pleasant trip. You may notice I'm swarthier than normal. Although, I don't know how well I judge my own swarthiness. I know I get more Puerto Rican when I get tan, but I don't know. I don't really consider myself that way. I'm not really a flag waver. Sure, I have heritage, but it doesn't quite affect me the way it affects some people. Good morning to whoever just joined and left because I'm alone. Yeah, it's Tuesday. I was so out of the habit that I forgot to set my alarm. And, I just got out here on a Tuesday, like a regular Wednesday, Cuck Wednesday kind of parking chump. Oh, man, I had to run to get the car, get back. It's shameful, really. It's almost 7:30. Luckily, people are still in their summer mode. Some people are away. I was able to find a spot not all that close to my house. Kind of close, not so close. But yeah, so here I am. Back from New Hampshire. Then when I got back, there was a holiday, so I didn't have to move. Then I was in Minneapolis. It was all Ubers there. I didn't have a car. In hindsight, I should have rented a car probably for the amount of Ubers that I took. I'm sure the car rental rates in Minneapolis would have been reasonable. And what else? But then I would have, I didn't really, it depends. And then I was in LA, and that's all Ubers pretty much, unless I did ride a lot of share bikes around there. Sobe is what it's known in the Santa Monica area. And they have lovely bikes. They come with a giant U-lock built into it. I figure they didn't do that here because why? Why wouldn't you have the locks built in? Oh, here comes someone just passed by looking for a spot. That's a delivery car. That guy. This person also may be looking for a spot. These are desperate times at 7:30 in the morning in this neighborhood. There's still a bunch of people who haven't moved their cars. And I was surprised that I got this spot. I was very oh no. Why? A lot of crying to the sky kind of moments for me. But yeah. How have you been? Have you been preparing for the fall? I know it seems cruel to ask that, but it's something we all have to look forward to. The school year is beginning. Oh, this guy just pulled up. Now he's backing up. Now he's going forward because there's no parking on this street. No parking left. Really amazing. My building that I live in has a 2-car garage. But at some point in the last century, the guy who used to own the building, or he's the sponsor, I guess, made some kind of sweetheart deal with the, this is my understanding. This is all hearsay. Please don't sue me. Made a deal with someone in the neighborhood and gave them like a 50-year lease of that garage for some obscenely low amount of money in a time when the city wasn't that expensive. And that person who has that garage, all they have to do is pay the tax, well, on the space. So, we don't pay the taxes for that little space, but they get to charge whoever parks there however much they like. And I'm sure it is a lot. Currently, I think the dry cleaner in the building has one of the spots. I don't know who has the other spot. But it's probably cheaper than parking in one of the local parking garages, which is a lot of money. I don't know how much money off the top of my head, so I'm going to look that up. So next time when someone's like, it's got to be cheaper, I'll be like, it's not cheaper. And even if it was, I just can't stand paying just to keep the rain off my car. There's not enough, there's not enough parking garages in this city. God damn it. What is wrong? Robert Moses, why didn't you also think about more parking garages? That's because, no, he wanted people to drive in his, the power broker. Am I right? So, back, I can see Pineapple Street from where I am right now, but I'm not parked on it because of my forgetting to set the alarm. It's like a regular Cuck Wednesday chump. But a bummer. It's overcast today. Kind of reflecting my mood. Have you ever thought that you controlled the weather? I can remember a time in my life where I believed, I don't know how strongly I believe this, but maybe I was like a little witchcraft that I could make it snow more when it was snowing. I would, pray for that, I guess. In my mind, all in the hopes that school would be canceled, of course, because I did not enjoy the schooling times. Let's see, I'm trying to think of certainly, no, I don't think I've talked about the owl. Certainly you've all seen it. Following me on Facebook about a month ago now that I was able to capture a photo of an owl eating a skunk, or killing a skunk. I didn't actually watch it eat the skunk. That was a troubling sight. Nothing too terrible. It was more nature than you usually like to see. Dealing with the skunk afterwards the next day when we found it was gross. If I have to be blunt, nature is gross. But luckily we haven't seen it. But I will say almost as troubling, not as troubling, nowhere near as troubling. I retract this statement. Although somewhat troubling was the fact that there was a skunk that we saw on the beach. We were having like a fire on the beach. This post-owl skunk encounter, fatal for the skunk. We just saw a skunk walking on the beach, just like at night. It was a full moon, and that was the same night that Ace and Elias and Shoki went surfing in the full moon, which was certainly an unusual experience for them. I've never seen it at this beach. I'm sure it's done. I've never seen it. But before that, while we were just like toasting marshmallows and stuff, you could see, I forget who pointed out, but there was a skunk just like trundling down the beach. And, not too close to us. It knows. It's a skunk. It knows it wants to be left alone. It's just, their little like low to the ground shuffle that they do. And there it was, walking down the beach. And another thing I had never seen. Never seen an owl murdering a skunk. Never seen a skunk just hanging out, walking down the beach. And yet there it was. So, It's been a summer of firsts, I tell you. My first time in Minneapolis. A lovely city. Friendly people-ish. Nice baseball stadium. Let's see. Nice bike share system there as well. Very reasonably priced. Some nice waterway stuff. Yeah. I regret not having gone there when I was younger. When I lived in Milwaukee. But then I wouldn't have been flying, I would have been driving. And it would have been, it's like a 12-hour drive or something like that from Minneapolis. Or from Milwaukee. I think at one point I did go into St. Paul. The Twin City or the second city in the Twin Cities designation, which I've never quite understood. Yeah, I didn't miss sitting in the car. It's kind of a drag. Although, if you live in LA, you do the same thing, except it's moving because you're on your way to work. Very slow traffic there. It's a stereotype, but it's also true. Some stereotypes are true. Like this stereotype I know about Estonians. Oh, I don't want to get into it. Anyhow, I saw Atomic Blonde. Talked about it just with a few people. IRL. It was okay. I didn't know it took place in 1989. A lot of period music going on. Charlize Theron kicks some butt. She gets naked. She's got bruises all over her body. From the fighting that she does with other people. Good morning to the person who's watching. I was surprised to find out that some people that I don't know personally watch the show. When I was in Minneapolis for the F Plus Live, a couple of people told me that they watch this parking show. Alternate side talking. As you can see, I didn't get a guest for today. I've been on vacation and haven't thought about bothering anyone to join me in the morning. I had other things in my mind. Being in LA is a fun time. But it robbed me of all my New York thoughts, like this show. But luckily, this morning my wife was like, don't you to move the car? And I was like, boing, out of bed, and here I am. Oh, man. Destiny 2 is coming out. I don't know if you like video games. I do. So I'm excited to play that with all my online pals. I haven't been playing a lot of on my video game friends recently because I've been playing this stupid Super Mega Baseball that I got for free, and it's fun. It's not very realistic, and I made it hard enough so that I don't always win, which is a bummer. But I'm doing my second season of the game now. I'm playing. I don't know where the Sirloins are from, but the name of my team is the Sirloins, and I have a good record. But I didn't. Last night I played a game. I lost. I mean, normally I win by very little with just difficulty, but the other team, man, who did I lose to? The Platypi, maybe. They got they had a 5-run inning, or 4-run inning, and then the wheels really came off my starting pitcher. It was a bummer. But once I get Destiny, Destiny 2, that is, I will probably stop playing the Super Mega Baseball, at least for a while. And I hear there's a new one coming out, so that's exciting. I know you agree. Here comes a guy. Oh, no. When you're looking at your phone like that, he's probably looking for an Uber. Everyone's got that Uber look where you're like, I know it says 5 minutes, but maybe it's here. Just desperately looking. Oh, this man in front of us. He's getting a car-to-go car. which is like, post Zipcar free, or a car share service where you have a little tiny smart car that you park around. Isn't that neat? Luckily, I own this car, so I don't have to do that car share stuff. I remember Zipcar being a pain in the ass, because you really had to try to get the car back in time, and you couldn't really dick around, especially in this city. It's just the cars were reserved, a lot. And the last Zipcar that I got was when I worked at Columbia. It was right before we bought our last car, and the car, it was a Mazda, which I liked, right? In general, I like the way those cars handle. But oh, that's right. It had a donut, emergency donut on the front driver's side wheel, which is troubling if you have to drive on the highway, which I did. And there was no rubber on the brake. So it was just a slick piece of metal where the rubber, where you stamp on the brake is, and when you would push hard on it, your foot would just slip off of it. So I wrote a complaint, because I had to drive it, because I had to go meet my wife at the car dealership, because we were buying the car. Our Honda Accord that we had for several years before we have this blue Subaru Outback. Oh, with the replaced Takata airbag. That was a good thing that we did while we were on vacation. We went and had the recalled airbag replaced. But anyhow, the Zipcar, it handled great, but every time I went to step on the brake, it was like zip. So I had to really tactically move my foot over and gently press on the brake, even when I was trying to brake in a hurry. But I wasn't driving so fast that I would need to brake in a hurry. The entire braking process became very stressful because I had to gently push it so that my foot wouldn't slide off the brake pedal. Needless to say, I wrote quite a letter to Zipcar and got the fee for that trip removed. And they were good about it. They didn't say, you need to bring your own pedal rubber when you drive or anything like that. They were very reasonable about it. So that was nice. But I was glad to be done with Zipcar, because Zipcar really, I'm sure this car-to-go thing also requires forethought. There is no, I was going to say there's a technological difference, but there isn't. It's just one. It's now you can just do it with your phone. Maybe you can do Zipcar with your phone anymore. I haven't done it in a long time. Is it even a thing anymore? I'm pretty sure it is. But, yeah, she just had to go on the website, look and see if the car was unscheduled. And in this neighborhood, or maybe just in all of New York, the cars were usually scheduled. So, but renting a car in the city is absurd, so it made more sense to do Zipcar. Especially because I had some sort of Columbia discount. Columbia University, like all educational places, my experience is the pay was not all that great, but the perks of you working at the university were pretty solid. Maybe it's changed. I doubt it severely. I mean, it's one of the things, if you look at Glassdoor, which I do, you can see that in most departments, it's educational learning. Like the Columbia University is a giant real estate monster. They own a ton of property and whatnot, but like all universities, the compensation is nicht gut. Sorry, I didn't mean to use German, but you know how it goes. Good morning, Coach Christy. I see that Christy Slow has joined in. It's always a delight to be joined in the morning by people that I know. So I'm back in the car. I don't have a guest today. I didn't arrange for one because I was on vacation and didn't really think about it and didn't really want to bother anybody. But if thank you, good morning. If anybody who's watching wants to come and sit in the car, I'd love to host you in my city-mandated car moving experience. It is, it's really a novel thing. If you don't have a car, you've never had a car, you don't have a regular job where you need to be up early and can come and sit in my car, or you're using this to get up earlier than you normally would and want to sit in the car, please let me know. I'd love to have you in my car where we can chat and just chat away the morning. It's much easier to have a two-way conversation than a one-way conversation. Although some people would accuse me of kind of being a master of the one-way conversation as well. Because I got a lot to say. Oh boy, don't get me started. I'm going to talk to you about, let's talk politics. Please, let's not. Let's see. I did, of course, if you know me, had quite an experience when I was in LA. My friend Colton invited me to come to the studio, and I was also going there to meet my friend, my online friend and real life IRL meeting friend, Mark McKinney from Kids in the Hall. And so Colton plays a character on Superstore, and so does Mark. And they were shooting, so I went on Friday, the last Friday I was in LA. I took a little mid-morning break to go visit the Superstore set and see the television magic being made, and finally meeting Mark McKinney in person. I've met Colton several times. There are photos. There's photo evidence of that, but I had never met Mark, and I guess I'd been playing Destiny with him for a little under a year. But it was kind of a funny thing to go and play video games with someone and meet them in person, especially when they're a famous person. So it was a good experience. Everyone was super nice. I will say, yeah, it was a film set, TV set, so that was kind of like neat seeing the sets and how small the amount of different like locations, physical locations they have for the show are. But I got to have some tacos. Hey, Thurston, why are you awake? You should be asleep, I would imagine. It is, Thurston just joined. He is in Seattle. That is not early for you. Is it late or is it early? It's got to be like almost 5 o'clock in the morning there. Maybe you're one of those people who wakes up super early. I don't know. I don't know that much about you. I mean, we've met, Thurston. A delight every time. But that's way too early. Oh, man. Maybe I did get enough sleep. I did. Is a positive statement. So that's maybe I'm feeling better than I normally would. But yeah, it's that kind of morning. Foggy. It feels like fall. It's been a fall-y kind of day. What was that? Facebook just did something. I don't know what it did. But I'm still online. That's all I know. We've got about 5 more minutes left in the car. So what do you want to talk about? You want to talk about, let's see, what's happened since I was away. You got Trump looking at the sun. Eclipse. Old news. How many more intergalactic solar phenomenons do we have in our lifetime? Eclipses are one of those things that just sort of like you have to be told about them to know to care. Unfortunately for me, I was in a plane when it happened, and my IL mates pulled the windows down, and the pilots told us that we wouldn't be able to see much anyway. I was hoping the pilot would turn the plane like, go look, can everyone see the sun? Look out the window. But I think they probably would have frowned on that waste of gasoline. Jet fuel, I guess they call it. It's not aviation fuel. I really don't want to get corrected by plane nerds or pilots. But needless to say, the pilot did not make any erratic flying decisions while I was in the air with them. All my flights were relatively calm. And I bought this thing on Kickstarter. It's a neck pillow. Maybe I'll bring it for next time. I'll do a demonstration. Hold me to it. I bought this neck pillow on Kickstarter that's like flat and you inflate it with your breath and it's like real big and velvety. And I had bought a neck supporter earlier, many years before. I think 2013 when I was going to China. I was like, I need something to help me sleep. And that thing, I would put it on and it was like wearing, it's made of polystyrene little pellets or whatever that will last 1,000 years. 1,000. And I would just put it around my neck and instantly it was like I'd put on a hot pad, or not a hot pad, but a mink or something that would just make my sweat profusely and be miserable. So I'd be like, I'm trying to get some sleep, but I'm basically heating my own neck in a way that just makes me just sweaty all over the chin area. I'm very uncomfortable. I don't like it. So I bought this one on Kickstarter, and on the way to Minneapolis was the first time I got to try it. It's a weird shape, and I had to later go back and look at the videos of like how you're supposed to use it. It shouldn't be that complicated, right? I mean, a normal neck pillow is just sort of like a U. This one has like braces here. And then you have the hooks for your face and also the tape. No, nothing like that. It's just this shape that's it's comfortable, but when I try to put it behind my head, it actually makes you like lean forward because it's a little bit of a weird shape. But I did use it, and I found it to be, my flight to Minneapolis, I was able to sleep unusually well. But then I was never able to achieve that on any of my other flights. But someone did say it was cool, so that kind of justified the whole purchase in the first place. Oh, good morning to my Puerto Rican brethren, Miguel Rodriguez. You know what I mean. I don't know that last name. It's very complicated to say. I don't know how you say it. I would hate to mangle it, but I'm sure you have it mangled all the time. Or people just say Miguel Rodriguez or Mickey. I don't know what you go by these days. Maybe you've gone into a third moniker I'm unfamiliar with. Regardless. I look good this morning. A compliment is always nice. It's because I have gotten a lot of sun on my vacation. The Puerto Rican side of my genealogy really absorbed a lot of sun this year. In past years, I've been more diligent with the sunscreen because I'm a goth. I try to keep it pale. Listen to a lot of Bauhaus. Sisters of Mercy. That whole thing. But this year I was more accepting of the rays. Not irresponsibly. But, you like this? You think this is an Antifa shirt? This is actually a Captain Harlock shirt for you 70s anime nerds. See? I bought this. There was some guy making these on somethingawful.com well over a decade ago, making hand screen shirts. I regret he also had really cool shirts that had like Russian tattoos on them. Like Russian prison tattoos. But he had to describe what they were. So I was like, do I want to get a Russian prison tattoo shirt that I think means something cool and actually identifies me as some sort of a pedophile? Not taking the chance. Oh, interesting. A similar thing. Not similar. But Jody and I were walking around Dumbo yesterday at this flea market, the Brooklyn Flea that goes on underneath the Manhattan Bridge. And there was someone selling like kimonos. And it made me think of when I was in high school. in the 80s. There used to be a flea market next to Tower Records. Both things are gone now. And there's this guy was selling these, like, thin button-up shirts that had something, at a checkerboard, 80s checkerboard pattern. And then it had some Chinese character on it. It didn't care what it said. I thought it was cool. It may have been a Japanese character. Information lost through the sands of time. But I bought it, and I was like, this is the coolest shirt. I love this shirt. It was back in the days when people used to wear like those painter caps with the rising sun on them and maybe like 2 flaps in the back. I had one of those hats. I also had a shirt with the rising sun on it. And when I wore it, sometimes people would give me a hard time. Back in our protectionist days against the Japanese car imports and technology in general. But so I had the shirt with the Chinese symbol on the back. I'll just say Chinese symbol. And I wore it to school, and I thought it was cool as shit. I thought it was fucking great. And there was a kid who sat behind me that day that I wore it. It was like one of the first days I ever wore it. And this kid, he didn't graduate with us, but I believe his name was Terry. I could be wrong. A young African-American gentleman whose father was a preacher. And yes, Michael is correctly saying it was kind of like breakdance gear. I'm sure many freeze frame poses with those stupid hats on. So I wore this shirt to school, and the kid who sat behind me was this like real wise ass son of a preacher, right? Like the classic, I'm a preacher's son, and I actually am a terrible person who falls behind the religion I've learned whenever I get called out for being a complete asshole. But in this case, like, so I was wearing my shirt, and then I got home that day and discovered that this kid, the son of the preacher, had written in one of the white squares of my shirt with this Asian character on it, "chink shit," in like a pen that was destroyed the shirt. Like it was, not a Sharpie, but pen that like whatever the white stuff was made of just was like, oh, your red pen that you used to write "chink shit" on my shirt with, perfect. I'll absorb all that ink and it will never come out, and you can't wear this shirt anymore. Congratulations. That's the end of that story. I was never, I wish nothing but the worst on that kid, even though it's, over 30 years later. I'm still mad about it. Still mad. Why? Now, who would write chink shit? I mean, it's absurd. Yeah, but that's not something you see as a insult used very much, at least not in my circles. Sure, there was a time everyone was saying it, but now I don't. You don't see people using that insult very much. What was it? Oh, another exciting thing I saw on my vacation. This is like when I was in New Hampshire. On the way to New Hampshire, we stopped at this McDonald's roadside, highway stop thing, and they had very explicit gay hookup instructions on one of the bathroom that I went to. And it was just like explained what the guy wanted to do, gave his Grindr profile, apparently very active in this. I think it was the Charleston, Massachusetts McDonald's rest stop. So of course I took a picture of it and sent it to a friend of mine who I share dumb things like that with. And that was the beginning of the trip. On the way back, we stopped at that same one on the other side of the highway. And I had the misfortune of sitting in another bathroom. I believe there was a sign in there that said, "Get your dick sucked for free." Right? That was written on the toilet paper dispenser. A quite a sales pitch. And then when I sat down, I realized, one, there's a guy sitting in the stall next to me. And two, there was a not small effort clawed through glory hole in this McDonald's highly trafficked bathroom. I mean, I don't even know how the fuck you get through that. You need a power tool. It looked like more like he had just done it with like a screwdriver. Whoever did it, a screwdriver. But I noticed it as I was like sitting down on the toilet. I was like, oh, like I see that dude's thigh and his leg, like So then I had to like sit and make sure that he wasn't looking through. It was a bummer. I did not use the glory hole, even with the free the offer. It clearly stated on the toilet paper dispenser that the option was there. But I took an uncomfortable poop and then got out of there. But the guy who was in the other stall was there when I got there and there when I left. And I was not there a short amount of time, despite it being an uncomfortable experience. Yeah, I have photos of that as well, the glory hole. If you don't believe that it's a real thing. This is I think the third one I've ever seen. I think the first one I really saw was in Riverside Park in Manhattan. And that one had like really thick barriers between the stalls. But in that case, someone had taken a Sawzall and cut a square hole. And it was way bigger than this one in the McDonald's. That one was like, I sat down and was just like, ah! Like, luckily nothing was coming through it. But it would have been upsetting if it was. You know. There's a great episode of It's Always Sunny about glory holes. If you don't watch that show, you should, because it's pretty funny. At least I think it is. There are some episodes where they're too terrible to each other. I just can't believe anyone would still be friends after that. But that's the conceit of the show. Anyway, it's a little bit after 8 now. I could have gotten out of the car literally 8 minutes ago. So I gotta get ready for work. Back into the breach. All right. Well, see you again. Maybe later in the day. Maybe I'll do an afternoon delight at 5 o'clock when I have to come sit in the car again. Thank you, New York. And thank you, you brave few, for watching. See you later. Bye-bye.